The fluorescent hummed a precise rhythm, mirroring the order you imposed upon the world. Each pen on your desk rested parallel to the next, a silent testament to the meticulous architecture of your mind. Your spreadsheets, a vibrant tapestry of debits and credits, glowed with an almost surgical precision, every cell balanced, every formula flawless. This was your domain, Raj, the realm of absolute truth found in numbers, where anomalies screamed their presence from even the most artfully disguised ledger. You leaned back, a faint sigh escaping your lips, the scent of fresh coffee a fleeting comfort in the cool, sterile air of the office. Your gaze drifted to the framed photograph on the corner of your desk, you and Anya, a rare, unforced smile gracing your usually serious face, hers a beacon of vibrant intellect. The image, taken after the successful resolution of the formidable Albatross Holdings case, captured a shared triumph, a professional bond forged in the crucible of complex financial forensics. Anya, with her lightning-quick mind and an intuition that often felt like a superpower, was more than a brilliant colleague. He was the only other person who truly understood the elegant dance of uncovering hidden truths within a mountain of data. Her current deep dive into Novatech, the fast-rising tech startup, had consumed her for weeks, a puzzle she'd hinted was far more intricate than anyone suspected. Yesterday, her voice had carried a particular edge of excitement, a whisper of something truly unique lurking beneath Novatech's glossy surface. The shrill, insistent ring of your desk phone lacerated the quietude. You picked it up, a slight frown creasing your brow at the unusual interruption. It was the senior partner, his voice, usually a booming instrument of command, now a strained, hollow echo. Raj. The world, a carefully constructed edifice of ledgers and logic, began to fracture. You heard words, fragmented and disbelieving, found this morning. At her apartment. The authorities ruled a suicide. Suicide. The word hung in the air, a grotesque distortion of reality. It didn't fit. It couldn't. Anya, the pragmatic, the fiercely resilient, the one who found joy in unraveling the most tangled financial knots. Suicide was a surrender, and Anya never surrendered. Her last email to you, sent just hours before, had been a request for a late-night data pull, an urgent need for specific transaction histories related to Novatech's offshore subsidiaries. There had been no hint of despair, only the relentless pursuit of information. Your movements felt strangely detached, as if you were observing yourself from a great distance. You walked towards Anya's office, now a silent, sealed tomb, a strip of yellow tape stark against the polished wood. Through the glass partition, you could see the faint outline of her workspace, eerily still. Just yesterday, that space had buzzed with her energy, her monitors alight with complex algorithms, her whiteboard scrawled with cryptic notes and flowcharts. A specific image flashed in your mind, sharp and insistent, a crumpled printout on the corner of her desk, partially obscured by a coffee mug. It was a list of legal counsel contacts, but one specific line had caught your eye briefly, an address for a firm that specialized in international compliance and, beneath it, a reference to a facilitation services agreement linked to an immigration detention holding facility. You had barely registered it then, dismissing it as part of the myriad of ancillary documents Anya often reviewed. It had seemed an odd pairing at the time, a minor incongruity in the vast sea of data. Now, the memory of that detail, so incongruous with Anya's usual audit focus, pulsed with an unsettling significance. It was easier to believe a brilliant mind simply snapped than to confront the possibility of something more sinister. But you knew Anya. You knew the fire that burned within her, the unshakable resolve. He was on the verge of something big with Novatech, you were certain. The idea of her taking her own life, leaving her work unfinished, her meticulously organized life in disarray, was an insult to her very being. The numbers always told a story, and Anya's story, as it was being presented, simply did not add up. You returned to your desk, your movements no longer detached but imbued with a nascent purpose. Your fingers hovered over your keyboard, your gaze fixed on the Novatech audit file now glowing on your screen. A quiet promise formed in the analytical chambers of your mind: you would not rest until you uncovered the truth, until you found the missing equation that explained Anya's sudden, impossible end. The silence of the office presses in, a heavy shroud woven from the late hour and the quiet hum of distant servers. Outside, the city sleeps, a million dreams unspooling beneath a sky the color of bruised plums. But for you, Raj, sleep is a forgotten luxury, a distant shore you cannot reach. The word, suicide, echoes in the hollow chambers of your mind, a discordant note in the symphony of Anya's life. It rings false, a lie painted over a deeper, more brutal truth. Your intuition, a finely honed instrument, vibrates with an insistent thrum: Anya was murdered. This isn't a sanctioned investigation, it is a pilgrimage into the digital footprint of a friend. Each keystroke a quiet defiance. Your fingers, usually precise in their dance across financial ledgers, now move with a hushed urgency, navigating the labyrinthine corridors of the company's archived files. The system is a fortress, designed to guard secrets, but you know its hidden passages, its forgotten backdoors. Years of meticulous work have given you this intimate knowledge, a tool you now wield in the service of a ghost. Anya's access codes, still active in a system oversight, grant you passage. A phantom key. You search for Novatech, the startup he was auditing, the final puzzle piece in her brilliant career. The files load, a cascade of digital documents, spreadsheets, and communication logs. Her last active case. You begin, methodically, tracing her steps. Anya's audit trails were legendary, a meticulous tapestry woven from data points and cross-references. You seek her unique markers, the particular shade of emerald green she used to highlight anomalies, the cryptic abbreviations scrawled in the margins of digital PDFs, the hidden tabs within complex spreadsheets that only she knew to create. These were her breadcrumbs, leading through the dense forest of corporate finance. Hours bleed into each other, the only sound the soft click of the mouse, the gentle whir of the computer's fan. Your eyes ache, but your focus remains unwavering. You scroll through transaction logs, expense reports, vendor contracts, a dizzying array of numbers and names. Then, a flicker. A tab, subtly named Ops_Review_2024_Q2, nestled deep within a comprehensive Novatech expenditure sheet. It's not the standard naming convention. It's Anya. You click. The spreadsheet unfurls, a new layer of complexity. Here, he had meticulously isolated a series of outgoing payments. They were not flagged with her usual emerald green, but with a stark, unsettling crimson. A silent scream in a sea of black and white data. The dates cluster around the week preceding her death. Your breath catches, a sudden constriction in your chest. These transactions are a web of obfuscation. You recognize the pattern, a classic layering technique, designed to obscure the true recipient. Anya, in her relentless pursuit of truth, had gone further. But one entry, highlighted in that angry crimson, sends a shiver down your spine. The words leap out, stark and incongruous. What connection could a fast-rising tech startup have with such an institution, particularly through such a convoluted financial trail? It makes no sense. The payment itself is substantial, far beyond any legitimate service Novatech might require from such a contact. Anya's notes, terse and precise, appear in a comment box beside the entry of Verify Service Scope. Red flag, inconsistent with Novatech operational profile. Investigate beneficiary network. Your mind races, piecing together the fragments. Anya had uncovered a funnel, a hidden conduit for vast sums of money. But consulting fees are a fiction, a veil for illicit transfers. This isn't just fraud, this is money laundering, vast and audacious, and it connects directly to a place of confinement, of vulnerability. The quiet of the office transforms, no longer merely silent but menacing. The air grows heavy, thick with the scent of stale coffee and the metallic tang of fear.
Anya's crimson flags are not just warnings, they are bloodstains on a digital canvas. She saw this. She followed the trail. And it led to her death. This was no suicide. This was a silencing. And you, Raj, have just stepped onto the same dangerous path. The truth, raw and brutal, has begun to unravel, and with it, the terrifying realization that you are now a target. The glow of the screen illuminates your face, a pale mask of grim determination. You cannot turn back. Not now. The digital ledger unfurls before you, a tapestry woven with numbers, each thread a transaction, each pattern a story. Novatech's accounts, once a mere assignment, now pulse with a sinister life, a coded language only you and Anya could truly decipher. You trace the spiraling figures, a meticulous dance of debits and credits, seeking the dissonant notes Anya had first heard. The consulting fees that first snagged your attention now proliferate like a malignant growth. They are not merely inflated, they are phantom limbs, attached to services vaguely defined, rendered by shell entities with names that whisper of anonymity. Your fingers fly across the keyboard, a relentless pursuit through the company's enterprise resource planning system. Each click peels back a layer, revealing another stratum of deception. The dates align with the largest influx of capital into Novatech, a surge that had seemed miraculous, almost too perfect, at the time. This isn't just creative accounting, this is a river of illicit funds, channeled with surgical precision. Then, a specific line item catches your breath, a cold knot tightening in your stomach. Why would a fast-rising tech startup require such services? The question hangs heavy in the air, a phantom weight pressing down. You cross-reference the dates, the amounts. These payments are significant, recurring, and entirely out of scope for a software development company. The services listed are not for their employees, nor for their data centers. They are for the infrastructure of containment, for the processing of human lives. The consulting fees now make a terrifying kind of sense, a cover for the intricate costs of an operation far removed from enterprise software. Your internal compass spins, pointing north to something far grander, far more dangerous than simple corporate fraud. This is a system, a network. The money flowing through Novatech isn't just being laundered, it's being used, invested into an illicit enterprise that profits from human vulnerability. Anya hadn't just found a funnel, he had found the beating heart of a monstrous machine. The weight of this discovery presses down, a leaden cloak. You compile your findings, a concise summary of the most damning evidence, charts and graphs illustrating the inexplicable cash flows, the shell companies, the impossible invoices. This isn't a theory, it's a meticulously constructed case, built on the bedrock of financial data. There are. You watch his face, searching for a flicker of recognition, a spark of concern. The senior partner listens, his expression unreadable, a mask of practiced neutrality. Anya was thorough. But sometimes, enthusiasm can lead to overreach. Novatech is a high-profile client. Their IPO is imminent. We cannot afford any unfounded speculation. His eyes, sharp and unwavering, meet yours. The official ruling on Anya's passing stands. And it would be unwise to stir up old waters. It reflects poorly on the firm and on your judgment. Focus on the core audit. Let the past rest. The dismissal is subtle, yet absolute. The words are soft, but the undertone is steel. You are not being asked, you are being told. The implications are clear, continue, and your own career will be on the line. The forces protecting Novatech are not just external, they are within the very walls of your firm. Later that evening, the office tower is a skeletal grid of lit windows against the encroaching twilight. The automatic doors of the parking garage hiss open,
revealing the dim expanse of concrete and steel. You walk towards your car, the rhythm of your footsteps echoing. A sudden, jarring sound rips through the quiet, the screech of tires, a guttural roar of an engine. You freeze, a breath caught in your throat, as the sedan swerves at the last possible moment, missing your car by mere inches, a blur of speed and menace. It doesn't stop, doesn't even slow, vanishing into the access tunnel with a fading rumble. Your hands clench, knuckles white. The air tastes metallic. This was no accident. This was a message, stark and terrifying. A whisper in the dark, reminding you that you are seen, you are heard, and you are treading on dangerous ground. The game has changed. You are no longer merely an accountant, you are a target. The silence of your office presses, a weight heavier than any ledger. The words of the senior partner, soft as they were, echo with the clang of a prison door. Continue, and your career will be on the line. But the image of Anya's vacant stare, the unnatural angle of her hand, burns away the fear of professional ruin. A quiet fury, cold and resolute, settles within you. They want you to stop. That, in itself, is a confirmation. You will not. Night bleeds into day, a relentless cycle of caffeine and flickering screen light. Your fingers dance across the keyboard, a furious ballet of data entry and cross-referencing. Novateka's financial records, once a labyrinth of digital obfuscation, begin to yield their secrets under your meticulous gaze. You strip away layers of shell companies, tracing transactions like a cartographer mapping an uncharted continent. The initial fraud, a crude manipulation of startup capital and inflated valuations, now seems almost quaint. A smokescreen. The real pattern emerges from the depths of the data, not in the grand, sweeping transfers, but in the insidious rhythm of smaller, repetitive payments. These are sums designed to slip beneath the thresholds of automated scrutiny, dispersed across a dizzying array of seemingly unconnected vendors. Companies with generic names like Global Logistics Solutions or Apex Resource Management appear again and again, receiving modest, consistent disbursements. No single payment raises an alarm, but their collective volume, their relentless frequency, paints a different picture. Its digital footprint is minimal, a single P.O. box, a defunct website. Yet, Novatek has channeled millions through it, disguised as payments for consulting services and software licensing. You cross-reference the shell company's registration details with a confidential database, a tool usually reserved for high-stakes corporate espionage, a resource you access through a discreet contact, a former colleague now working in intelligence. The name that flashes back at you is a chilling whisper in the financial underworld, the Obsidian Hand. The Obsidian Hand. Not just a syndicate, but a ruthless, sprawling network, infamous for its iron grip on illicit trade, its reach extending from narcotics to human trafficking, all laundered through legitimate-looking enterprises. The stakes vault into a different stratosphere. This is no longer about corporate malfeasance. This is about survival. You feel a prickle on the back of your neck, a phantom presence in the empty office. They know. Or they will soon. You turn your attention to Anya's personal drives, the ones you managed to retrieve before the official investigation sealed everything. Her work files were pristine, meticulously organized, designed to pass any cursory review. But Anya was too brilliant, too cautious, to leave everything in plain sight. You remember her habit of burying critical data, a digital breadcrumb trail only he could follow. You sift through old project folders, hidden subdirectories, even the metadata of seemingly innocuous image files. Hours blur. Then, in a folder labeled Personal Recipes, tucked away amidst scanned family photographs and an outdated tax return, you find it. A single text file, named simply notes_2023_Q4.txt. The extension is deceptive, this isn't plain text. It's encrypted. Your breath catches. This is it.
Anya's last message.
Using a decryption tool Anya herself had shown you years ago, a robust, open-source program she trusted more than any corporate-sanctioned software, you begin the painstaking process. The characters scroll, a dizzying cascade of alphanumeric symbols, then slowly, agonizingly, they resolve into coherent words. The file is not a full report, but a collection of fragmented observations, dates, and cryptic references. One entry stands out, stark and unsettling: Project Chimera, payments to Secure Solutions Incorporated for logistical support at multiple government facilities.
Discrepancies in staffing numbers versus payroll. Unusual visitor logs. Specific individual, the architect, cited 03/11, 03/18, March 25. Not on official visitor list for SSI. Anya's last note before the date of her death: they're moving assets. Not just money. Something else. The words hit you like a physical blow. Project Chimera. Something else. The Obsidian Hand wasn't just laundering funds, they were using the facade of Novatech and its subsidiaries to facilitate a far more sinister operation, one that touched the very infrastructure of government services. You recall a recent news blurb, easily dismissed at the time, about a sudden, unexplained surge in transfers at that specific facility, attributed to administrative backlog. Now, it screams with new meaning. You have a name, the Obsidian Hand. And you have Anya's final, desperate warning. The path forward is clearer, but infinitely more perilous. You are in their crosshairs. The chilling whisper of Project Chimera still echoes in the confines of your skull, a dissonant chord struck against the ordered symphony of your life. The Obsidian Hand, a network of shadows and ledgers, extends far beyond mere financial malfeasance. It infiltrates the very sinews of governance, a parasitic tendril reaching into the vital organs of public service. You need another pair of eyes, another mind, someone accustomed to the periphery, the digital underbelly, or the forgotten archives where official narratives fray. He operates in the gray spaces, a digital cartographer charting the unseen currents of data. The reply, a single coordinate and a time, arrives hours later, an invitation to a clandestine rendezvous. The meeting point is an abandoned factory on the city's outskirts, a skeletal structure of rusted girders and shattered glass, where the wind whistles through broken panes like a mournful siren. The air is thick with the scent of decay and damp concrete. You arrive precisely at the appointed moment, your breath misting in the cool evening air. He moves with a quiet efficiency, his eyes, when they finally meet yours, hold the weary intelligence of someone who has seen too much of the world's hidden mechanisms. Raj. The analyst's voice is a low gravel, a sound that rarely deviates. You walk on thin ice. It's cracking beneath me. It wasn't suicide. Novatech's ascent was too clean, too fast. What do you have? You pull a secure drive from your inner jacket pocket, the data Anya had meticulously encrypted, the final, fragmented pieces she'd left behind. Her last working files. Encrypted, deep. I've broken the outer shell, but there's a layered code, a pattern I can't quite resolve. Something she embedded in the metadata, a sequence of seemingly random timestamps and IP addresses that don't align with any standard server logs. The analyst takes the drive, his fingers, surprisingly agile, connected to a compact, custom-built device. He pulls from his coat. The screen glows faintly, a constellation of green characters blooming across its surface. You watch him work, a ballet of keystrokes and rapid analysis, his focus absolute. He sifts through lines of code, cross-referencing, building complex queries, his brow furrowed in concentration. It's a temporal map. And the IP addresses. They're not servers. They're devices. Mobile. Moving. And they converge. He overlays the data on a topographical map, pulling up satellite imagery. A red dot pulses into existence,
then another, then a cluster, forming a tight, repeating pattern.
Your breath catches. The location is unmistakable, starkly outlined against the urban sprawl.
These timestamps align with transfers,
inbound and outbound.
And these specific device IDs.
They're not standard issue for facility personnel.
They're encrypted, custom, likely burner devices.
The pattern suggests a regular, controlled flow. This is about people. Identities. The Obsidian hand isn't just laundering money through Novatech.
They're using the infrastructure, the connections, the systemic vulnerabilities, to move something far more precious, far more vulnerable.
She stumbled into something monstrous. They're using that facility as a node, a waypoint, for what? To traffic people? To create new identities? To disappear them? The analyst looks at you, his face grim. The biometric data fragments.
They point to a level of control, a systematic process of identity manipulation. It's about power over individuals, over their very existence.
It's a choke point. A funnel.
The mystery has deepened, twisting into a grotesque new form. The chill of the abandoned factory floor seeps through the thin soles of your shoes, a constant, gnawing reminder of the world you've left behind. Fluorescent tubes, salvaged from who knows where, hum a sickly yellow over the makeshift command center, two rickety tables burdened with laptops and a tangle of wires. Beside you, the hacker, a silhouette against the glow of his screens, murmurs, "Look at this, Raj." His voice, usually a rapid-fire staccato of code and conjecture, is laced with a new kind of urgency, a tremor that vibrates through the very air. You lean closer, your gaze drawn to the intricate web unfurling across his monitor.
It's a fractal diagram of transactions, a financial nervous system pulsing with illicit activity. Novatech, once a gleaming titan of innovation, now appears as the dark heart of this monstrous network. They're not just disappearing into offshore accounts. See this spike here?
Consistent, monthly, significant. The numbers sing a different song now, a dirge of human exploitation.
High-tech weaponry, you breathe, the words tasting like ash. They're funding advanced weapons. But how is the money generated on such a scale? The audit didn't show this level of income. A grim smile twists the hacker's lips. Because the income isn't from legitimate services. It's from a different kind of commodity.
He clicks, and a new layer of data floods the screen.
Names. Faces, blurred but undeniably human. Routes, winding through obscure ports and desolate border crossings. Human capital, Raj. Anya's death, the meticulous unraveling of her audit, now makes horrifying sense.
A transit point, a holding area, for the final stages of the operation.
Not the official one, but a satellite, an unofficial annex. The records are buried deep, but the network traffic points there, consistently. Your jaw tightens.
A place meant for bureaucracy, for processing, twisted into a cog in a vast, dehumanizing machine.
A massive one. We do.
The target facility looms ahead, a stark, gray block against the moonless sky, surrounded by a chain-link fence topped with razor wire.
It looks less like a processing center and more like a tomb.
Your heart thrums a frantic rhythm against your ribs. The hacker retrieves a small, specialized drone from his bag, preparing for an aerial recon.
I'll get eyes on the perimeter. It's a sound you recognize, a sickening thud, followed by a muffled cry. You spin, adrenaline coursing through your veins, and see them. They move with brutal efficiency.
One of them holds a heavy, blunt object. The hacker is on the ground, struggling, the drone scattered in pieces around him.
No!
The word tears from your throat, raw and desperate. You lunge forward, a foolish, instinctual surge of protective fury.
But you are no fighter.
A shot rings out, not at you, but into the air, a warning. He's the target, a voice barks, distorted by a comms device.
Get him!
The two remaining figures abandon the hacker, who is now motionless, crumpled on the tarmac.
They turn their attention to you, their movements predatory. You are outnumbered, outmatched.
You pivot, scrambling back towards the vehicle, your feet pounding against the rough ground. Another shot whizzes past your ear, kicking up a spray of gravel.
You don't look back. You can't.
You hear the heavy thud of footsteps closing in, the guttural shouts of your pursuers. Fumbling with the ignition, your hands are slick with sweat, shaking uncontrollably. The engine sputters, then catches with a roar. You slam the car into reverse, tires screeching against the asphalt, narrowly avoiding a figure lunging at the driver's side window.
Another shot shatters the rear window, a spiderweb of cracks spreading across the glass.
The hacker.
He's gone. Compromised or worse. The thought is a lead weight in your gut, threatening to pull you under.
Your world, already shattered, now lies in irreparable fragments.
There is no going back, no calling for help.
The network you've uncovered is vast, merciless, and it has eyes everywhere.
The hunt for truth has become a desperate flight for survival.
Now, in the cramped anonymity of a rented room, the silence hums with the echo of your ragged breath. Your ribs ache, a constant reminder of proximity to oblivion, but your mind, ever the accountant's precise instrument, whirls.
Anya's last, whispered words, half heard in a frantic call, resurface, oddity. Detention facility contract. Nova Tech.
At the time, they were a puzzling anomaly, a loose thread in a tapestry of corporate fraud. Now, they are the compass needle.
You begin your digital siege.
Novatech's public-facing architecture is a fortress, but Anya's breadcrumbs, tiny fragments of code and obscure file names she left behind, are your skeleton key. It's an elegant piece of software, deceptively simple, designed to manage detainee records, transfers, and welfare funds.
Too elegant. Digging deeper, bypassing layers of obfuscation, you uncover the truth.
The system isn't just for record-keeping, it's a sophisticated conduit. Embedded within its code are hidden functions, backdoors that reroute fractional sums from repatriation costs and detainee support initiatives into shell corporations. A ghost economy, thriving within the bureaucratic arteries of the facility. The digital footprint leads to a physical presence. The system, you deduce, is managed from a dedicated server, one that isn't officially registered on the facility's public network but is physically housed within its walls. A ghost server, feeding the ghost economy. To fully expose the network, to download the unvarnished truth, you need physical access. Your infiltration begins with a forged maintenance request, a digital phantom sent from a compromised facility account. Your identity, a temporary technician from a fictional IT contractor, is a flimsy veil, but in the chaos of institutional bureaucracy, it might just hold. Inside, the air is thick with the metallic scent of disinfectant and a pervasive, quiet hum, the low thrum of ventilation, the distant murmur of voices, the subtle vibration of unseen machinery. The corridors stretch, sterile and uniform, each turn indistinguishable from the last. Fluorescent lights cast a harsh, unforgiving glow, stripping color from everything they touch. You move with a practiced nonchalance, your toolkit clutched like a talisman, your eyes scanning for the telltale signs of security cameras, access panels, the subtle cues of a building designed for control. The hum here is louder, a collective sigh of countless processors. With a swift, practiced motion, you disable the camera above the door, its tiny red eye winking out. The lock, a standard biometric scanner, yields to a device you fashioned from scavenged electronics and Anya's lingering code, a ghost key for a ghost door. You find the Novatech server, its casing sleek and black, a predator among the mundane.
Your fingers fly across the keyboard, a symphony of keystrokes.
You bypass the local firewalls, delve into the root directories.
And then, it appears. Your fingers pause, hovering.
The mastermind's identity slowly congeals from the digital ether, a shocking clarity. It isn't some faceless syndicate boss, but the visionary, the architect of Novatech itself, a figure celebrated for their philanthropic endeavors and disruptive innovation. The very public face of the company, a man whose charisma was as legendary as his business acumen, is the puppeteer. The laundered funds were not just for illicit gain, they were the seed capital for a hostile takeover, a calculated acquisition of rival tech firms, of media empires, of critical infrastructure. Anya, with her meticulous eye for financial anomalies, had stumbled upon this very scheme, the small, consistent diversions of funds from the facility, and it had cost her everything.
A faint click echoes from the hallway, too close, too distinct. The hum of the servers suddenly feels like a roar in your ears. Someone is here. You rip the drive from the server, the critical data clutched in your hand, a searing hot ember of truth. The door handle begins to turn. You have the evidence, a weapon against an empire, but now, you are trapped within its very heart. The rented room breathes with you, its silence a fragile shield against the world you've just outrun. The metallic tang of fear still lingers on your tongue, a bitter residue from the tarmac, a memory of frantic motion and the motionless hacker. Now, the weight in your pocket, a small, cold solid-state drive, anchors you. This is it. The ledger. Every falsified entry, every phantom transaction, every shell corporation meticulously traced, culminating in a devastating, irrefutable link between Novatech's gleaming ambition and the syndicate's grimy tendrils.
Anya's final work, completed by your desperate hands.
The proof is a living thing, buzzing with dangerous truth.
You trace the lines of a faded map on the wall, a phantom itinerary of escape routes and safe havens that no longer feel safe. A subtle flicker in the street lamp across the alleyway catches your eye, not a malfunction, but a purposeful, almost imperceptible adjustment. You've seen that pattern before, the quiet surveillance of a trained eye.
The net, you realize, isn't merely closing, it's tightening its knots around your very breath.
A man you once helped, years ago, when his own career teetered on the brink.
You reach for the burner phone, the digits a prayer.
His voice, when it answers, is calm, measured, offering a balm of professionalism. He understands the urgency, the danger. They'll be looking everywhere obvious, he advises, his tone a low rumble.
You need to be somewhere they won't expect.
It's slow, it's frustrating, but it's a sanctuary from the streets, for a little while.
I'll make a call, put in a word for you. Relief, thin and fleeting, washes over you. A strange place, perhaps, but logical. A bureaucratic maze where the rules, however cumbersome, might offer a temporary shield.
You grab a small, unassuming bag, the drive nestled deep within its lining.
Every passing car is a potential threat, every pedestrian a possible hunter. It's an outpost of sterile order in a world of chaos. The air inside is thick with the scent of disinfectant and unspoken anxieties. You present yourself, a ghost seeking refuge, offering a fabricated story of distress, a plea for temporary protection. The intake process is a numbing ritual of forms and questions, each stroke of the pen.
Each murmured answer, a step further into the system. You are catalogued, fingerprinted, stripped of your personal effects, your world shrinking to a small, allocated space.
A sense of unease begins to prickle at the back of your neck.
The facility, meant to be a haven, feels more like a carefully constructed trap. The faces of the guards are too uniform, their gazes too knowing.
Then you see him.
Standing by a distant doorway, conversing in low tones with a uniformed supervisor. The air thickens, heavy with the stench of betrayal. The old investigator, your supposed lifeline, had not offered sanctuary, he had delivered you. The syndicate's reach extends further than you could have imagined, its tendrils snaking into the very heart of the systems meant to protect. Panic threatens to bloom, sharp and suffocating, but you crush it. This isn't the end. This is merely a new battlefield. You are trapped, yes, but the proof, the undeniable truth, remains with you. The solid-state drive, a tiny beacon of justice, is still hidden. You can trust no one, not here, not anywhere. The evidence must get out. It has to. Even if it means sacrificing every last shred of your own freedom, your own future, to ensure Anya's truth sees the light. The city's pulse hammers against your temples, a frantic rhythm mirroring your own flight. The small bag, a meager shield, holds the digital heart of your rebellion. You move with a predator's caution, your forensic mind mapping escape routes, calculating risks, predicting the hunter's next move. They seek a ghost, a vanished man, but you are a phantom with a purpose. A strange sanctuary, perhaps, but one where the mundane machinations of bureaucracy might offer a temporary cloak against the syndicate's relentless pursuit. Here, you are merely a number, a file amidst countless others, lost in the system's indifferent churn. They search for a high-value target, a man disrupting their empire. They won't expect you to be voluntarily entangled in a web of paperwork and waiting lists. A guard, weary-eyed and indifferent, directs you to a communal area. The fluorescent lights hum, casting a sickly pallor on the faces around you, faces etched with longing, fear, and a quiet resilience. You find a corner, a worn plastic chair offering little comfort, and pull out a battered notebook. Your mind, however, is not on the present squalor but on the intricate dance of numbers and power that brought you here. You begin to sketch, not blueprints of escape, but the sprawling architecture of their illicit empire. Novatech, the sleek facade, the layers of shell corporations you painstakingly unpeeled, the offshore accounts that bled into legitimate enterprises. Anya's final audit, a masterpiece of meticulous cross-referencing, had laid bare the skeletal structure. Now, you add muscle and sinew, anticipating their reactions. They will move funds, of course. A rapid reshuffling, a digital shell game to obscure the trails you've already blazed. Your fingers trace imaginary lines on the page, connecting fictitious entities to real-world assets. The syndicate's strength lies in its ability to adapt, to dissolve and reform like smoke. But even smoke leaves a residue. You remember a pattern, a specific series of transactions involving a seemingly innocuous shipping firm in Panama, a recurring anomaly Anya had flagged in her preliminary notes. That firm, you deduce, would be their first point of consolidation, a temporary nexus before the next dispersal. Your plan begins to coalesce, a complex trap sprung from the very tools of your trade. The drive holds the undeniable proof, ledgers, communications, encrypted financial flows. But merely releasing it isn't enough. They would discredit it, bury it in a deluge of misinformation, or, worse, silence the messenger before the message could resonate. You need a multi-pronged attack, a digital hydra that, once unleashed, cannot be decapitated. You remember the quiet, persistent journalist Anya admired, the one who broke the story of the corrupt city councilman. A name surfaces in your thoughts, a reputation for integrity, a network of international contacts. This is one of your conduits. But not the only one. Each packet, a fragment of the truth, designed to interlock only when all pieces are simultaneously revealed. The challenge lies in the timing, the trigger. You can't rely on being alive to initiate the final broadcast. Your accounting prowess becomes your weapon. You recall the algorithmic trading platform Novatech had recently acquired, a seemingly legitimate venture. Its API, you realize, could be subtly manipulated to monitor for the exact patterns of fund transfers you anticipate. If those patterns emerge, or if your own pre-programmed digital heartbeat ceases, the trap springs. A small, smuggled smartphone, a forbidden luxury you've carefully kept hidden, becomes your command center.
Its battery life is a ticking clock.
You work in bursts, under the cover of night, or during the brief, chaotic periods of communal activity. The public Wi-Fi, slow and monitored, is a risk, but a necessary one. You build a series of cascading scripts, encrypted messages, and automated triggers. Each one a thread in the web, designed to ensnare. You focus on the mastermind, the elusive figure at the apex of this pyramid of deceit. You sift through your memories of Novatech's early days, the rapid, almost unnatural growth. There was a quiet partner, an investor who always remained in the background, whose name rarely appeared on official documents but whose influence was undeniable. The pieces click into place. The architect. Not a figurehead, but the true puppet master, pulling the strings of both the syndicate and Novatech. The air in the facility grows heavy, the weight of your task pressing down. You are building a funeral pyre for their empire, and perhaps, for yourself. You will not let her sacrifice be in vain. You finish the last line of code, the final command in your intricate dance. The trap is set. Now, you wait for the inevitable. Your fingers, raw from the frantic typing of the past few days, still tingle with the memory of code, of pathways forged through encrypted darkness. You move with a desperate grace, a ghost weaving through the waking metropolis. The designated drop point, a grimy internet cafe tucked beneath a forgotten bridge, hums with the low thrum of outdated machines. The air, thick with stale coffee and desperation, feels strangely fitting. You slip into a booth, the worn plastic cool against your skin, and connect the drive. Your eyes scan the room, assessing every twitch, every lingering gaze. A single, encrypted message is all it takes. It promises a partial data dump, just enough to pique curiosity, to force a direct response. The bait is set. You watch the clock tick, each second stretching into an eternity, until the screen blinks, confirming transmission. Then, the cafe door opens, and the world tilts. Not the figure you expected. Instead, a trio of stern-faced individuals, their movements precise, their gazes unwavering, converge on your table. Raj, one intones, his voice flat, devoid of inflection. "You're coming with us." There's no struggle, no escape. This was part of the calculation, a gamble you knew you might lose. The drive, you ensure, remains connected, the dead man's switch primed. The journey is a blur of tinted windows and hushed commands. The vehicle glides through the city, past familiar landmarks that now seem alien, until it halts before a stark, imposing structure. This is no corporate tower, no abandoned factory. You are led through a labyrinth of doors, each one clanging shut behind you, amplifying the sense of isolation. The air tastes of disinfectant and resignation. This is the arena. This is where the final act will play out. The door opens again, and he steps in. The CEO of Novatech. His tailored suit, once a symbol of power and innovation, now seems a flimsy disguise for the rot beneath. His eyes, usually sharp with calculated ambition, are now clouded with a dangerous mix of arrogance and veiled concern. He gestures for the accompanying official, an unsmiling bureaucrat, to leave. The door clicks shut, leaving just the two of you. Raj, the CEO says, his voice a silken purr, a predatory sound. He circles the table, his gaze dissecting you. A foolish endeavor. You should have walked away. You should have let sleeping dogs lie. You meet his gaze, unflinching. Anya didn't walk away. And she didn't lie. A flicker of something, annoyance, perhaps a touch of fear, crosses his face. Anya. A tragic waste. Such a brilliant mind. But she crossed a line. A line you now stand squarely upon. He leans forward, resting his palms on the table.
You have something, don't you? A little data, a few spreadsheets. You think that's enough? He chuckles, a dry, humorless sound. We have resources, Raj. We have influence. Whatever you think you have, it will be buried, and you will simply disappear. Is that what happened to Anya? You ask, your voice steady, betraying none of the tremor in your chest. Did she simply disappear? The mask slips. She became a liability. A loose end. Her suicide was merely a convenient narrative. He was too close to the truth, Raj. It all stays buried. Novatech is too big to fail, too important to be tarnished by. He has confessed. Not directly into a recorder, but into the silent, watchful space between you, a confession born of overconfidence. This was what you needed. You're right, you concede, a slow, deliberate smile spreading across your face. Novatech is too big to fail. Which is why I didn't try to stop it. I merely exposed it. The CEO's brow furrows. What are you talking about? The partial data dump I sent, you explain, your voice gaining strength. It wasn't bait for you to come find me. It was bait for the world. It contained a timer, linked to my continued activity. You tap your fingers lightly on the steel table. The moment I stopped transmitting, the moment my location was flagged as detained. The rest of the data, the full audit, the encrypted communications, the undeniable proof of Novatech's deep entanglement with the syndicate, it all went live. To every major financial news outlet, every regulatory body, every investigative journalist I could find a contact for. It's out there now. Right this very second. The CEO's face drains of color. His eyes, wide with sudden, dawning horror, dart around the sterile room as if searching for an escape. He lunges across the table, a desperate, guttural cry tearing from his throat, "You fool! You utterly reckless fool!" His hands grasp at your collar, fingers digging into the fabric, knuckles white. You brace yourself for the impact, the inevitable physical confrontation. His desperation is palpable, a wild animal cornered. The steel table scrapes as he tries to pull you closer, his face contorted in a mask of rage and betrayal. You feel the sharp edge of the table dig into your back, the sudden jolt as your head hits the wall behind you. Pain flares, a sharp, white-hot line across your scalp, but you hold his gaze, unflinching. Just then, the door bursts open. The unsmiling official and two burly security officers rush in, pulling the struggling CEO off you. He thrashes, screaming obscenities, his carefully constructed facade shattered into a million pieces. You watch him, a small, grim satisfaction blooming in your chest, even as the dull throb in your head intensifies. The official, once impassive, now looks at you with a strange mixture of awe and apprehension. The truth is out. The cost is heavy, a tangible weight settling upon your shoulders, yet the air, though still smelling of disinfectant, now carries a faint, distant scent of vindication. The CEO's hands, sharp talons of desperation, dig into your collar, a frantic, animalistic cry tearing from his throat. You fool! You utterly reckless fool! His eyes, wide with a dawning horror that mirrors your own exhaustion, dart around the sterile room, not for escape, but for an unseen salvation that will never arrive. Then, firm grips, the weight of authority, pull his back. His struggle is brief. A futile spasm against the inevitable. You watch him, a figure diminished, as he is led away, his frantic pleas dissolving into the sudden, overwhelming silence of the conference room. The air thrums with the aftermath. Officials, once shadows, now move with purpose, their voices a low, urgent hum. Your legal counsel, a stoic presence throughout the ordeal, places a hand on your shoulder, a silent anchor in the swirling chaos. The weight of the world, it seems, has just shifted. Within hours, the world outside knows. The initial reports are tentative, a ripple, then a tidal wave. Novatech CEO arrested, scream the headlines. You become a symbol, a whistleblower, a hero to some, a pariah to others. The meticulous order of your life shatters, replaced by a relentless barrage of questions, accusations, and the blinding glare of public scrutiny. Days blur into weeks, a relentless cycle of depositions, interviews, and the stark, unforgiving light of courtrooms. Each word is a brick laid in the foundation of justice, yet each word also reopens the wound of her loss. Here, beyond the polished corporate veneers, the raw edges of the syndicate's international network are laid bare. You are called to identify faces, to confirm connections, to trace the human cost of the illicit cash flows. Through reinforced glass, you observe figures, once formidable, now stripped of their power, their eyes holding a blend of resentment and resignation. His testimony, painstakingly extracted, becomes a crucial link, solidifying the charges against the higher echelons. The legal battles are protracted, a grueling marathon of technicalities and testimonies. The defense paints you as reckless, obsessive, a man driven by a personal vendetta. But the evidence, your evidence, is unassailable. The ledgers, the coded communications, the digital footprints, they weave an undeniable tapestry of deceit and violence. Your resolve, forged in the crucible of fear and determination, never wavers. You stand firm, a pillar of truth against the storm of evasion. The official reclassification of Anya's death provides a bittersweet solace. Not suicide, but murder. It brings no warmth, no resurrection, but it brings honor to her memory, a vindication of her unwavering integrity. A small, framed photograph of her, vibrant and smiling, takes its place on your desk, not as a monument to loss, but as a quiet testament to the justice finally served. Your own life, however, remains irrevocably altered. The quiet hum of your old existence, once a comforting rhythm, now feels like a distant echo. The precise calculations, the meticulous balance sheets, they seem trivial against the weight of human lives, of betrayal and courage. Sleep often eludes you, the ghost of the CEO's desperate eyes, the shadow of Anya's final audit, lingering in the quiet hours. The public scrutiny eventually wanes, replaced by a quiet respect from those who understand the true cost of your actions. Offers arrive, from government agencies seeking your unique expertise, from non-profits dedicated to combating financial crime. The world of forensic accounting still calls, but with a sharper edge, a deeper purpose. The future, once a neatly organized spreadsheet, is now an open horizon. Raj, the meticulous accountant, is gone. You carry the weight of what you've seen, the echoes of the past, but you also carry the quiet strength of one who has walked through fire and emerged, not unscathed, but unbroken.